I'm just kidding. So, welcome to my Path of Exile video for the week. This will air on Tuesday. I'm currently recording it on Sunday the 3rd. This will come out Thursday the 7th. But I just watched the Baeclast with Tark, Rise QT, Octavian, and Nugent or Wind. However, I don't know how he pronounces his name. I don't follow him on YouTube or Twitch or anything like that. I just know he's part of the Baeclast and Chris Wilson. Now, I'm not going to show anything that was on that video because I'll have a link to the video if you want to watch the whole 2-hour and 15-minute video. But I want to cover some topics that I heard in the conversation that really appealed to me because, like, being the type of gamer that I am, that I don't have 60 hours a week to sit around playing video games. I've got probably like 25 hours a week I can put into gaming on a substantial level. It's very hard to find time to do all the different things in Path of Exile. Now, that being said, they covered to where synthesis, they said it was going to be a much smaller content patch than what Betrayal was, which obviously that's the case because Betrayal was phasing out an old system and putting in a new system. So we got Incursions, Delve, Bestiary, Betrayal, all thrown at us again in one shot. So we got like 4 leagues mixed into one and said, here, have at it, have fun. And now obviously with Synthesis we are going to be seeing Delve again. We are going to see Incursions, Bestiary, and Betrayal is going to be mixed into it along with Synthesis. So we're still getting 5 components of the game to do, and they are doing balance changes and things like that that are going to affect the gameplay. Now, I want to cover something, but my cat's like walking into the footage to come lay in my lap because he's like, hey, where's my food? It's time for me to eat. Look at the camera, kitty. Look at the camera. Say hi. Say hi. Say hi. This is Leo, by the way. You've met him in other videos, but he's always a joy. I love cats. But you gotta go while I'm recording. So, let's talk about a few of the changes that they had discussed. Cat's coming right back. Please don't hit the power button on my PC. That'd be terrible. I'll have to re-record this whole video from start. So, the biggest change that they said they were going to be doing is they are going to be making Delve kind of balance out where you can do it more often than what was in the previous league in Betrayal. And it's like a lot of people looked at the changes and tweaks and things like that, especially the way that Sulfite Scarabs are going to work with Betrayal, how they're going to be less numbers, they're not going to be as high as they were in Betrayal, but they're also making it to anytime that you run into a Delve map or place, there's going to be 3 nodes. There's always going to be that 3 nodes. So it will kind of balance out and I think increase the amount of sulfites you're going to get so you can keep delving. Now, I'm really interested to see how Synthesis is going to play out with the system because they cover a lot of how the Synthesis mechanic is going to work inside of it. Like you're only going to be able to hold 10 platforms at a given time, but they'll be indefinite unless you run them. So they'll have like a set number of charges, might be 1, might be 6, might be 3. I don't know what the full numbers on it are, and I won't know until, we start playing the league in a sense. But essentially, you'll put the platforms up, and then you'll run it, and they'll lose a charge. So that's fairly straightforward. There's not like a whole lot to cover in that. It's you place it, you run it, it loses a charge. But they did specify that the maximum number of platforms you can chain is 25, right? So if the maximum number of chaining that you can do in a sense is 25, that means you can pre-plan a long path and like go run like 25 maps, or run 10, place 10, run 10 more, place 10, run 5, place your 5, and then run that path. I think he did touch on it, the longer the chain is, the harder it's going to be to complete it. So you're going to need your character scaled to complete them. So I'll see where that kind of plays out with it. I probably will never do a 25 chain because honestly I'm not that good at the game. But check out your favorite streamers, Dizzer and Math will or anyone like that, they probably will be doing 25 chains when they see it viable. I'm kind of glad to see that like the crafting system in Synthesis is going to be fairly easier, fairly simpler for like the newer player, because the biggest and hardest thing that you have when you're coming new into Path of Exile is the fact that crafting is such a monstrosity that if you don't understand it, you'll never, not never, but like if you don't understand it, it's very intimidating. It's very intimidating because you don't understand how to block, how to not block, how to roll specific, or how to get specific suffixes to roll correctly, or how to annul something. Like there's so much involved in crafting. Like I don't even understand like 3% of it. You really have to like sit down and talk with somebody that understands it. But like it's very hard to explain crafting to anyone. So with Synthesis and how it's gonna like, you'll get a mod that can't be changed, and then you can play around that mod. It's going to be very, very good for me to learn how to understand crafting a little bit better. Now, it's not going to give me the 100% answer that I need for crafting. It's just going to give me an easier way to craft so I can begin understanding the base mechanics of it. Going on into more of what they discussed at Baeclast, there is an ExileCon coming up. They are going to be releasing more information on it. That gets covered in Baeclast. I'm not going to cover anything on it because I won't be going to it, but they've done the one thing that, this is the one reason why I really love Path of Exile. Like, while they're a money-hungry company, and I specify they're a money-hungry company because of how many MTXs they have for sale, but like, I don't mean this in a bad way. I mean like GGG and how they are grinding gear games, however you want to refer to them, like their money lives and dies off of this stuff here, off of buying points and getting, you know, you to buy the supporter packs, let me bring this over, right? Buying these things from them. This is how they make their money, pay for their things. Like you don't buy Path of Exile. You don't spend money on Path of Exile. Like when you create an account, you get 4 tabs just as if you were getting any regular base game that you spent 30 or 40 or 50, $60 on like Diablo did. I mean, Diablo's added tabs over time, but you really only started with like 4 tabs and that was it. Hey, here you go. Bye. So, and you can increase that. Obviously, I've increased mine dramatically. I've got a lot of tabs. I've put a lot of time into this, and I mean, there's currency tabs. I've got 2 of those because I like to have them. There's a fragment tab, there's an essence tab, there's a card tab, there's a quad tab, which I don't remember which one of these is my... There it is, a quad tab. Really store space. I don't like it because of how little things are and how hard it is for me to move, but it is one of those things where you just have to play around with it. But there's ways to increase your tab space. It does cost money, but I mean, at the end of the day, you get the game for free and everything available in the game for free. You don't have to pay for a single thing in Path of Exile. So for them to, you know, not charge an arm and a leg for things. Now, obviously, going to ExileCon is going to be expensive, and Chris Wilson explains it pretty well. If you're not a local New Zealander, you're gonna have to like get your visa, you're gonna have to get a travel pass, you're gonna have to buy a plane ticket, rent a hotel. Like the overall to go to this con is expensive. It's not something that you can just, hey, here's $5, I'm going, right? Like I'm going to SC Comic Con this weekend, and it's only gonna cost me like $40 per ticket, and it's me and my girlfriend going, so it's $80 to go to this. But like we're right here, we don't have to run a hotel room, we don't have to travel, we don't have to do anything. We just hop in our car and drive. So it costs us $80 to get in, $10 in gas, $90 for this weekend event. And I'm really excited about that in a sense, right? So for them to release ExileCon, and they're only going to have X amount of people be able to go to it, obviously for the venue space and things like that. Like it's costly to get there, but they are going to stream most, and I'm specifying this, most of ExileCon for free on, you know, Grinding Gear Games' Twitch. And, you know, the various streamers that will go to it, I'm pretty sure you'll get some streaming done from Zizarin, Rise QT, and all the other people that are going to go there, whether they spend the money or however they get there. You know, they're gonna stream what they can from it. But, like, there's not a con ticket, like a virtual ticket. You're not gonna have to spend $30 to view this information on Twitch as it's going. It's gonna be free information for the people that can't afford to fly to New Zealand, which I'm one of them. I don't make enough money to drop $3,500 to $4,000 to buy a plane ticket and go to New Zealand. So for that to be available to free, and then they specify something else, and I'll let you watch Baeclast to hear Chris Wilson say it, because I'm not gonna take that away from him. It's something that, like, you've got to go watch for yourself. So we do know that with more information that came out with it, I just went off topic, but ExileCon. Information will be out. Watch Baeclast to get more understanding of what I'm referring to, but the fact that it's going to be free to the virtual user of it, to where you don't have to pay for it. Now, again, I said most of it's going to be streamed. They're not obviously going to stream 100% of the con. It'd be impossible to cover a con in 100% detail. So the major highlights will be covered, but there's going to be a lot of information that you're not going to find out until your streamer releases a YouTube video or streams it on Twitch themselves. So you're not going to get a lot of information. No, you're going to get a lot of information. Let me rephrase this. You're going to get a lot of information from ExileCon, but there's going to be stuff that's not going to be covered directly in the Twitch. It's going to be covered by the content creators that are at Twitch or ExileCon, with them streaming it on Twitch or YouTube. So follow whoever your favorite streamer / YouTuber is from Path of Exile. They will be giving you more information. Now, the next kind of thing we're going to go over is they did talk about spellcasting changes, and that was really emphasized inside the Synthesis launch video, but there's a lot of changes coming to it, and it's something that they've been working on for a while. So I want to kind of take a moment to explain why it's the way it is. Like, a lot of it is like, everyone's like, oh, they could just easily flip a switch, and it's really not that simple. And me being a software support for a dental company, right, you don't get to like oh, we just have to fix this one thing and it fixes the big problem. There's so much that goes into development. Like, if you're not a big fan, if you're not like really familiar on software, you don't fully understand that the lines of code, like if you put an apostrophe where it's supposed to be a comma, it could break everything. So it takes hours, and I mean hundreds of hours, to program, the basic fundamentals of a game. So when you look at something like Path of Exile, like, you've got wall collision, right? You can't walk through the wall. Like, that's probably like a lot of code to go into it. I don't mess with coding. I did used to mess with some HTML, but I don't mess with too much of coding. So, like, they've probably been working on this spellcasting change for like 2 or 3 leagues. And I mean, like, to give you an idea, that's 9 months that they've been working on getting it into a viable working state to make it more efficient to release it. So it's not something that you can be like, hey, this is a problem, you need to fix it tomorrow. It's not something they can averagely do. Now, going in and making some minor tweaks, like oh, hey, this monster hits for like 8,000 life on a basic auto attack. That's something they can tweak kind of overnight, because it's going in and playing with a small variable, right? But changing something of like the sense of like, hey, when I cast this spell, the cast time feels clunky, or feels like this, or does that. Trying to change something like that takes days, if not months, to correct, because if you change something and then the casting just doesn't work at all, you've got to go back and reevaluate. The one thing I can say about upcoming changes, they are talking about revamping how melee works. So that's the next big thing we're going to be looking at, because this time we're getting spell rework, we are going to get melee rework. We obviously are getting an Atlas shakeup, so they're going to reposition everything on the Atlas, which I'm happy about. Like, the biggest problem I always have, which of course I can't show on this character, I have to go to another one of my characters. The biggest problem I've always had with the Atlas, in a sense, is like, there's specific maps I like doing, right? Like, I just like chain running that same map, and it's like, right now they're all in various spots where you look at burial chambers, right? Where is it? It's over here somewhere. There it is. It's a tier 11 map. Here's why, like, I get it because Headhunter drops here, but I really loved running Burial Chambers. I ran it for close to 2,000 maps in Incursion. Like, I loved this map, but it's like, to run this map, I had to scale characters up to be able to run red maps in general. Now, this is the first league that I've actually ever 100%. I say 100%, but I am missing 3. I am missing, and they're unique maps, but they were the expensive ones, like Durrani's. Where are my other 2? There's Bureaucratic Cluster, and then there's one more, which is, I'm kind of blank. There it is. It's Brandis Manor. So I didn't run through us, but 156% completion is the highest I've ever completed a map in the league. It's the first time I've ever been able to kill Shaper on my own. I have not killed Uber Elder yet, but I'm working on it. It's going to take me time. I'm not that great at this game. We've specified that multiple times. I'm glad to see that there's going to be an Atlas shakeup, because honestly, I hated having the Flooded Mine and Ramparts as tier 1 maps. I hope they get moved. I hope we get something slightly better in the tier 1 spots. I definitely didn't like Dungeon and Pen being the tier 2 maps. I didn't. It was not my favorite thing in the world. I am hoping to get some of, like, you know, like getting Burial Chambers back. Like a tier 6 map, maybe somewhere between 6 and 10. I'll be happy about it because you don't have to scale really high for it. It's very simple. I'm not great at scaling characters, so that's why I'm not talking too much about that. That being said, there is the Atlas shakeup that's going on in this particular league. And according to what Chris Wilson said, it's going to be every league that the map gets shaken up, which I particularly like, because, I mean, if the Atlas is the same through constant leagues, like, I don't feel like I need to do the Atlas. And that, like, will kind of, like, keep me from playing it. Like, the biggest problem of any video game in the history of video games is replayability, which is why there's, like, 500 different Call of Duties. Everything gets revamped and remade in a new game every year. Replayability is the hardest thing to retain players. Now, obviously, your streamers who sit there and play the game for 8 hours a day, this is their job. They're gonna literally clock in and play this game for 8 to 10 hours and stream it because that's their job. But like you as a consumer that is not a famous Twitch or YouTuber like myself, I'm not famous, I'm not a good Twitcher, I'm not a great YouTuber. Those are even words, but I'm not great at it. I don't make a living off of it. This is just a hobby. I sit here and I play my video games, I make a couple of YouTube videos, I upload them, and I go to work the rest of the time. Like, this is just a hobby of mine. I'm not famous enough to do something as a job, right? So I specify these things because, like, you get burnt out on video games relatively easy when you feel there's a content drought, when you feel like there's not enough to do or anything else of the sort. Now, I kind of felt really overwhelmed with Betrayal, right? Because in Betrayal, there's too much to do. And I kind of blame one of my friends here, wherever he's hanging out. Where is he? I'm trying to find him real quick. Maybe he... Oh, Blackbird. No work for me today, right? This guy. It's his fault. He burnt me out because he kept wanting to run, like, massive things. Like, he... I give it to him because he played the whole league on the same elemental hit character. More power to him to make a ton of currency. I don't know if he's like... I don't know why he wanted to make that much currency in the game. But he did it. He went crazy. But, like, you get burnt out relatively easily when you feel there's a content drought or when you feel there's too much to do. So I kind of wish there was a way to change up how these reacted. Like if I could just get, you know, this map to only spawn, or like get Delve to replace these other ones repetitively, right? Or if I decided I only wanted to run incursions, do that. Like, I think there should be a way to, obviously there's the scarabs, there's the other thing, but I mean, like, actually, I guess that works out. I guess I really didn't think about it in that perspective. Like, there's ways to put currency into only doing the content you want to do. I guess I really didn't think about that up till this second. And never mind on that. We're going to strike that one from the record. Throw it out the window. Moving on. But basically, there's a lot to do. There's a lot of things to play. There's a lot of things going on future-wise. Now, obviously, my goal for upcoming Synthesis League is going to be how to take one character and scale it to the point where I can kill Uber Elder. That's my goal for the Synthesis League, is to kill Uber Elder. Whether I do that or not, we'll see. It's going to be very difficult for me because I'm not very, as I said, I'm not very good at this game. Right? If I was, I'd be sitting here making videos about how to play, how to make builds and things like that. Like, I don't know how to make builds. I gotta follow guides. I attempt to make builds every so often. They get to around level 40 and they suck so bad that I just delete them and move on. Now I'm rambling about it. So, other things that, like, as I said, there's gonna be a link to the YouTube video for Baeclast. I recommend watching it because they cover a lot of things. There's a lot of things that you could tell the community is gonna like, and there's a few things the community's not gonna like, but you can't make everyone happy. So in the sense of it, like me personally, I want an option to infinite delve because I didn't get to play delve because I was burnt out on Path of Exile. And even Chris Wilson at GGG says, it's like, you know, if you don't like a league, don't play it. Come back and try the next league. But for this game to be the way that it is and the amount of time and development that's going into it, the game is growing. And usually, I guess it's really weird to word it this way, but like you look at a game like World of Warcraft, right? It started out, it got really big, and then it's just been this constant downhill ever since. There's not been an uphill for World of Warcraft again. It's not ever hit its pinnacle that it hit here. It's always been, it go down and come up a little, go down, come up a little, but it's just this steady decrease in player value, because honestly I really think Blizzard's out of touch with their community. And you know, that was obvious when they just laid off, like in the gaming world, 800 people got laid off between different community managers and things like that. And the biggest problem of it is because you keep hurting yourself by not listening to your community, right? The one thing that gaming has to have is the community. If your community gets to the point where it's just so far off from what the community wants, the community's not going to play. There's not been a time that GGG hasn't done a lot more with their community. I mean, you look at like the leagues, the builds, like people loved Delve. It's still in the game. Like there's a lot of things. Now, I'm kind of rambling at this point, but I said that this video was going to be substantially longer because this is my full-on topic of like where I would like to see this game to go. And obviously I'm nobody cares what I think. Great. Moving on. I want to see, I guess the wording behind it is I want to see myself get better at the game so I can have a better play style through it, so I can pick a character and scale that character and learn to play it. The biggest thing that I want to go on it is like with Synthesis coming up, there's a huge crafting change. Sorry, I had to yawn. I didn't want to really yawn in nobody's face. But there's a big change coming up with crafting, and it's going to help me understand how to craft and how to start scaling characters. The one thing that I kind of want to see them do be a little bit better on is nothing. I've got nothing at this moment. It's like the game itself is really enjoyable. I enjoy playing it. I enjoy putting time. I've got quite a few friends that are going to start playing in the Synthesis League alongside of me, and I hope that I don't overwhelm them with the amount of information. Now, the next topic I want to kind of talk about is Chris Wilson did specify that there might be a time where they start removing old league mechanics from the game. Now, they use Tormented Spirits as an example, but they're not going anywhere anytime soon. But it could be something that eventually gets taken out of the game. And I like this idea because it's sometimes, if there's too much, it's too much to do, in a sense. There's too much to try and focus on, and it gets harder to play over and over and over and over again. Like, I mean, personally, like, Tormented Spirits, there's a lot of times where I just bypass them completely because I just don't care what they're doing. Like, I don't understand them. Like, is something gonna happen with a Tormented Spirit where, like, if I kill it while it's attached to this mob, do I get a specific rare that has a specific mod on it? I don't know. It's outside of my knowledge. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, like, I just want the game to evolve with us, because it's very, when you have a game that started off low and it's just steadily been doing this, like, I specify that it's been going uphill. I mean, it has its up and downs like any other game, but like the overall content, the replayability, the skills, the way that they've advanced things, a game that is this complex is growing because they listen to the community. They do what they can for the community. Obviously not, they can't give the community 100% what the community wants, because at one point in time it's going to be the wish to push one button and just complete everything. That can't happen in a game. I mean, it's like, there has to be the complexity. There has to be some people that are going to be unhappy with how certain content is, and that's fine. Like, if I don't enjoy a league, I'm not going to play the league. I'm going to just be like, okay, I'll see you in a couple months when you get the new league announced, when I find out what's going to be the next thing. I mean, personally, I didn't like the betrayal mechanic because it was too much micromanaging. But maybe it's going to be better in the upcoming Synthesis League and it'll be more understandable. Maybe I'll understand the game better so it'll be easier for me to play. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the Baeclast thing gave me hope for the future of this game and how it's going to keep playing. And I understand, like, the hardest thing to talk about, and the reason why I keep going off on tangents in it is because I really should do a podcast and have somebody else that could kind of talk to me to keep me pulled in the direction I need to go. But I enjoy Path of Exile's theory crafting. The fact that you pull up the passive tree and it looks like this, and you're like, oh yay, there's so much information to cover, that you get to spend hours upon hours just thinking about the game, thinking about how you can scale a character. And that's my biggest problem right now, is I don't know how to scale a character. That's clear on this, when this character here, this is Don the Crown's Swiss Army Man, right? And I wasn't able to scale it to the point that it made it easier to do bossing, right? Like, this weapon is so trash. Like, it should be slammed, right? Like, I need, there's an open prefix and suffix mod. I should suffix block slam and hope I get a good thing, and then, you know, remove that craft and then prefix slam or something of the sort. Like, there's so many things that I don't understand about this, and it's already got a craft, so I'd have to remove the craft or annul and then do something. I don't know, man. I don't know. But what I do know is there's so much coming up that I'm going to learn more. And when I learn more, I'm going to learn how to scale a character better. I'm going to learn how to do things. Now, obviously, Melee is not in the strongest place that it could be, but they're going to be working on it. They did announce that to be either a 3.7 or 3.8 change. They do have an idea of where they're going with 3.7. Like, this is the stuff that I'm excited to hear about. And there's a lot of changes coming up. So, in the description, there will be the link to the Baeclast. There will be a link to the Synthesis trailer. And, I mean, at the end of the day, there's so much that gets covered in these things, and I lost half of what I wanted to say because I had to do laundry and things like that, but that's besides the point. I look forward to seeing some of you guys that do watch my videos. So granted, sometimes there's one, sometimes there's 100. I look forward to seeing you guys in the future. Hopefully, I didn't ramble too much to make you go, oh, this guy is just weird. I am weird, I get it. But hopefully, I will fix up my base understanding of things and I'll get a concept of it and we can move on from there. That being said, guys, you all have a great one. We'll probably do another video. As I said, I'm going to be recording my other videos later, but I've lost my track of thought because I'm overwhelmed with like my thought processes right now. So I will catch you guys on the next episode that I do for Path of Exile. Now, because Path of Exile's new league launches on the 8th, My next week videos likely will be just a vlog and 2 Path of Exile videos that I'll record at time of recording. I won't be doing recording them all on Sunday and launching them. I might still do a RuneScape video on Sunday and have that launch on the Tuesday as well, but we'll see. I don't know, because there's like so much to do time consuming wise that I don't know if I have the time to do it. You guys have a great one. Like, comment, subscribe. Delete the video for all I care. Have a great one.